In 2018, the documentary Bellingcat, Truth in a Post-Truth World hit the screen, spotlighting how Bellingcat takes on misinformation. And we sat down with the director Hans Pol. Here he is.
De documentaire is tot stand gekomen doordat ik een artikel las in de Volkskrant. Een interview met een van de leden van Bellingcat. En toen ben ik gaan kijken, Bellingcat, wie is dat dan? De founder, of de oprichter van Bellingcat, dat is dus zeker Eliot Higgins. Toen ik het hem vroeg, was op het moment dat Bellingcat helemaal niet heel erg bekend was. Dat was mijn geluk, want volgens mij een half jaar later, als ik hem had gevraagd, had hij waarschijnlijk de aanbiedingen op zak van HBO of Netflix of wat dan ook. Ik wilde namelijk al die mensen van Bellingcat ook in hun privéleven filmen. Omdat het voor mij belangrijk was dat ik een beeld gaf van huisvaders die op een of andere manier in staat waren om regeringsleiders of wie dan ook op een puntje van een stoel te brengen van waar ze eigenlijk voor verantwoordelijk zijn. Wat hij doet en wat de leden van Bellingcat doen, ja, dat is niet ongevaarlijk. Je komt in een wereld terecht waar je gewoon helemaal niet meer weet wat waar is en wat niet waar is. En eigenlijk is het bijna een post-Bellingcat tijdperk. In het begin had ik nog iets van, dat is waar wat Bellingcat zegt hier. Dat kan je aannemen dat dat of fake is of echt is of wat dan ook. Maar inmiddels gaat die techniek zo snel vooruit dat je helemaal niet meer weet wat waar of niet waar is. Dat is dus super eng. Ik wil niet heel zwart en donker afsluiten, maar ik zie geen lichtpuntje. Ik zou willen vragen aan Eliot hoe hij zelf de toekomst ziet wat dat betreft. Is hij nog in staat met zijn organisatie echt te kunnen aantonen dat iets fake is en niet fake is? Daar ben ik zelf benieuwd naar. Ik denk het namelijk niet.
The question is asked and the answer is given. What do you want to say to Hans Pol, who says that this is... How can we know what is true and false?
The approach that we're having at Bellingcat is actually looking at where people find trust in the world, where they kind of, what lens they see the world through. And we've moved away from the kind of these traditional gatekeep structures of information to this more peer-to-peer model. And that changes how we're encountering information, how it's served to us, what's making the decision to show us what we're seeing. And in some cases that can lead to radicalization, it can lead to all kinds of issues immersion, it can lead to people being drawn into conspiracy theories, but we need to understand why that is. And every single time I've looked into people who believe in conspiracy theories on things, it can be MH17, COVID, the earth being flat, anything really, you have people who have a profound sense of distrust in traditional sources of authority. That's usually rooted in some personal sense of betrayal. It's made worse by a sense of crisis, and that can be anything from a global pandemic to your wife leaving you with the kids, or all kinds of. It can be very personal. It can be political. It can be social, and then it's finding those online spaces where you have a question and the answer has something to do with you not trusting someone, but there's a community that agrees with you that you can't trust these people, and they reinforce that. And through that process, you are being served through that community and through online algorithms, not only the content you're interested in, but a more extreme version of that content.
Right, but he's asking, this is a documentary maker, Hans Pol, and I'm almost sure that he's not in the category of people who believe in fake stories. But he says, with the new techniques, how can people how can you prove that your stories are correct?
Well,
how can we
this
believe
is the key point. So this is about people proving stuff. This isn't about me proving stuff to other people. It's about people discovering through not just fact-checking and, I want to be a verifier, I want to check if headlines are true. Actually getting them involved with these processes is something that creates resilience. It means that people are involved with democratic processes. It means that, there is a growing sense, and I think this is affecting young people in particular, that politicians, the government, politics does not serve their interests because these are systems that were formed in that old model of communication. not the new model that's emerging, especially in Gen Z and Gen Alpha, where social media has become a primary source of information. And that's not to say, oh, that's the end of the world and it's a terrible thing. We just have to understand this is the society we live in, and people are not going to hit 18 and pick up newspapers and turn on the TV news. And when we're dealing with the issues that affect us, like Hans was talking about how do we know what's true or not, I think we need to rebuild trust through a kind of grassroots movement, not trying to force everyone back into the old gatekeep models of communication, where it's like, no, you've got to trust the newspapers, and you've got to trust the government, and you've got to trust the TV news, because there's no one else out there. That's a very different world than the one we live in now, where we are surrounded with options in terms of who we read, who we listen to, and we have systems in place, both computer systems through algorithms, but also social systems through online communities, to be filtered towards basically the most comfortable, but also the most extreme version of beliefs we can hold.
Questions?
Hi, my name is Amy. Social media is one of the biggest resources for your work. I was wondering, how do you feel about the younger generation, including your own kids, growing up in a world full of social media, and also being exposed to this harmful and violent content that you guys analyze?
I think they are growing up in a very tough information environment that it presents a lot of risks to them. I think one thing that I think is becoming a worse and worse trend is basically just people mimicking other successful and truthful people. We've seen it, for example, with the open source investigation community, where you now have loads of these osint accounts that are just stealing content from elsewhere. You see it on a whole range of things where something becomes popular and then there's 100 shit versions of it that's created to farm the algorithm. And like, I see my daughter using social media. She's 13, she's had a phone for less than a year, so she's completely addicted to everything at this point. But it just seems like everything is just like a copy of something else now. That as soon as there's an original idea, there'll be so many people trying to copy it and get on top of that. It's just creating this completely, again, it's the shitification of the internet. It's just, that information environment is just really poor for gathering information about how the world, what the news is.
Is it fair to say that as a dad, I'm a dad as well, there comes a point in time, maybe now you can control your daughter's media consumption, but that won't take a lot of years anymore before she is on her own and she's looking at everything that she wants to. You can't protect her forever.
It's more about trying to teach her, I've got a lot of experience in...
Yes.
But she's not going to listen to me because I'm her dad talking to her about the internet.
I talk from experience. My daughter's a little bit older than yours.
But I think I'm lucky that I at least work in an area where it's part of the mood, the background music talking about these kind of issues. Mm-hmm. I mean, one thing that really worries me at the moment is deepfake pornography, especially targeting young girls, because this is something that's happening in schools already.
Wait a second, deepfake pornography? What?
Yeah, so the ability to take a photograph of an individual and turn that into pornography has gone from something that 18 months ago was very difficult and needed expertise to now you can get multiple apps that do that for you for free. And this is something that is being used by teenage boys in school to target girls. And these are underage girls as well. So this causes all kinds of different issues.
It's so depressing.
Involved. But that's kind of like, that is what really worries me in terms of kind of girls and kind of online content.
Because you know what's going to happen if it is your daughter when she's online in these positions or in a film like this, because everybody will think it's real.
This is the issue, and there have been multiple cases now where young girls have killed themselves over these situations. Mm. So I don't really think schools have any idea what's coming until it's going to be too late for them. And I think there needs to be a lot more education in this area because it does present a really huge amount of risk, I think.
Okay, before we let you go, Christian Triebert had some sort of really funky question to you from the New York Times. It's a mysterious question. This is the one.
Hey, Eliot. First of all, grateful for everything you have meant for me and others. I've been asked to ask you a question, and I'm very happy about this because I'm wondering After 48K dreams and after 512K dreams, what's going to be the next dream for you?
Before you answer the question, you first have to explain what this is all about, I think.
So I am a huge nerd, I think it's fair to say. So I've got... have any of you encountered kind of AI-generated music over the last 6 months and how much improvement it's made? So there's various platforms. There's one called Suno and one called Udio that lets you make AI-generated music. And I spend way too much time doing that. So I have made a couple of albums that are available online if you're so inclined. I'm not saying you should, and I would prefer you didn't. But I made one called 48K Dreams, which is a series of songs about the 48K spectrum. Do you know that ZX48K? You're way too young for that. It's
Christian told me, but you have to tell it.
It's a early computer from 1981, which had rubber keyboards and was a big part of my childhood nostalgia, as is 512K Dreams, which is about the Amiga 500, which is another...
Eliot, you are a proper nerd, you are.
Yeah. But I also always do it with the most sincerity as well, because I find that funny if it's like really sincere.
Yeah. Did we get an answer now to the
what
question?
was it? Oh, after that, oh God, it would have to be like, because it's a sequence, it would have to be about the next computer I had, which was the IBM PC. So
that's the answer?
Yeah, that would be
sure.
about that.
I could have given that. Okay, before we let you go, what is the best advice you have for the students here and the people who are watching this at home or wherever they are?
Don't wait for permission to get started on stuff that you care about, find interesting. You also have a huge community that's ready to support you and get involved. So, yeah, seek them out, and I wish you luck.
Eliot Higgins.